To the Sanwiching and History Tour of the Elias House. Can everybody hear me okay right now?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm getting some waves. That's good. First, I want to let all of us thank the homeowners, Mark Matthews and Beth Seward, for allowing us to come into their beautiful home today.
And it was cool at one point, so sorry if it's hot now.
Well, I guarantee it's cooler in here than it is out there. So you may be a little uncomfortable, but it's better than being outside. I'd also like to introduce and thank a few special guests that are with us today, right here in front, down in front. Carolyn Elias is right here. Everybody see her? Carolyn was married to Barney Elias, who built this house for 54 years. And her daughter, Kimberly Elias. Where's Kimberly? Back there, okay. And then granddaughter Jenna Rose is also here today. So we've got some Elias family members. And many thanks to Sandra Taylor Smith with the North Little Rock History Commission, Joe Whalen, Charlie Baxter, and Betsy Davies for their help with the tour. Yes, give them a hand. Y'all are a good crowd today. For any architects in the audience, I've seen a couple come in. This tour is worth 1 hour of continuing education credit through the American Institute of Architects. So you can see me after the tour if you're interested in that. So try to get as comfortable as possible now, because I'm going to talk to you for a while about the history of Park Hill, and then about the history of Park Hill, and then about this house.
People still trying to come in, maybe everyone can.
I'm starting. If you're coming in late, I'm about to talk about Park Hill. The Park Hill housing development. Okay, important thing, if you're not quiet, nobody can hear that's far away. The Park Hill housing development, which now encompasses more than 1,600 acres, was the brainchild of businessman Justin Matthews Sr. Justin Matthews, a native of Monticello, Arkansas, moved to Little Rock in 1901, the same year he married Agnes Summers. Prior to his marriage, Matthews, who had a pharmacy degree, owned and operated 3 drugstores in southeast Arkansas. Agnes Summers Matthews, who was also from a prominent family, urged her new husband to take a job selling cotton oil mills over a 4-state area for a company based out of St. Louis. Matthews got rid of his drugstores and began selling cotton oil mills. Come on down. He enticed clients to buy a mill by investing his own 10% commission in the venture. In 1902, Matthews himself opened the Rose City Cotton Oil Mill, promoting development in the community just to the east of downtown North Little Rock. About 4 years in the business, Matthews had sold 88 cotton mills and decided to sell his stock, earning him upwards of $1 million. Keep in mind that he was in his 20s at that time. About 1908, Matthews began to invest in real estate, acquiring land on both sides of the Arkansas River. He realized the potential for residential growth in North Little Rock, so he diligently worked to make this side of the river easily accessible and more desirable. The north side of the Arkansas River was low-lying and swampy. Most streets were unpaved, and there was no drainage or sewer system. Water usually stood on streets after each heavy rain, making them impassable for automobile traffic. Matthews spearheaded the plan to create improvement districts in North Little Rock to fund the paving of city streets in 1913 and the construction of a drainage and sewer system in 1914. He also served on the Broadway Main Street Bridge Commission beginning in 1917, which ultimately constructed the Broadway and Main Street bridges over the Arkansas River to replace an older bridge that could only accommodate one vehicle at a time. Matthews also pushed for the construction in 1927 of a new viaduct over the railroad tracks between 8th and 13th Streets in North Little Rock. And it was no accident that the Arkansas-Missouri Highway, now John F. Kennedy Boulevard or Highway 107, was one of the first paving projects undertaken by the state's first highway commission. Governor John Martineau appointed Matthews to the commission in 1927, and the highway just happened to be the main thoroughfare through his Park Hill development. Park Hill was the first major suburban development in North Little Rock, and the second major suburban development in the greater Little Rock area. Pulaski Heights was the first, which was platted in 1892, but didn't really take off until 1903 with the streetcar. So Matthews platted the first sections of Park Hill in 1921. Even though Park Hill was Little Rock area's second major suburban development, it was the first to rely solely on automobile transportation. Park Hill was advertised as the second Pulaski Heights, but with more advantages like a closer proximity to downtown Little Rock and North Little Rock, a greater elevation, which provided better views and more health benefits, better views again, cooler temperatures, and level land. His advertisements even mentioned the fact that the roads leading to Park Hill were north and south, so you didn't have to face the sun when you were going to and from work like you would if you were going to Pulaski Heights. Matthews formed the Park Hill Land Company to market, sell, and develop the area, while the Justin Matthews Company would extend his influence and developments to other parts of central Arkansas, including Sylvan Hills, now in Sherwood, Westwood in southwest Little Rock, and after World War II, Lakewood just north of Park Hill. At its peak, the Justin Matthews Company employed over 200 people, including an architect/builder who was Frank Carmian, a brick mason, Julius Bender, a horticulturalist and landscape artist, Oscar Wilhelm, and a road construction engineer, Robert Massey. Justin Matthews built houses to, quote, endure the ravages of time. In order to make the area more attractive to families with young children, Matthews built the Park Hill Elementary School in 1924 and 25 and gave it to the city of North Little Rock and the North Little Rock School District to operate. More than 200 houses had been constructed in Park Hill by 1927 when Matthews laid out his plan for an upscale section of the Park Hill development called Edgemont. Edgemont comprised blocks 101 through 107 of the Park Hill development. Skyline Drive was the main street through Edgemont and curved along the crest of a hill, providing spectacular views of downtown North Little Rock and Little Rock. The houses built in Edgemont were supposed to be larger and more expensive than other houses. In fact, Edgemont was restricted to homes costing $6,000 and up. Unfortunately, Matthews' timing for the opening of Edgemont was very poor. Only 16 houses were built before the Great Depression hit, bringing construction to a halt. And there was no new construction in Edgemont from 1931 until 1945. Although residential development in Park Hill slowed during the Depression, a few significant projects were completed in the late 1930s. The Park Hill Fire Station and Water Company complex at 3417 Magnolia was built in 1938 using materials and labor from the Park Hill Water Company and the Works Progress Administration. The Mediterranean-style buildings were designed by the Little Rock architectural firm of Brueggemann, Swaim, and Allen. The firm was well known in central Arkansas by the late 30s and also designed the similar-looking M.S. McCord House at 3201 Magnolia Street in 1936. In 1939 and 40, Brueggemann, Swaim, and Allen, and I'm going to talk about this firm a lot because I think they designed this house, they designed one of the area's first shopping centers at the northeast corner of present-day D Street and JFK. Known as the Park Hill Community Building, the complex housed the Park Theater, one of many theaters the Brueggemann firm designed for Malco Theaters Incorporated. And they did that across the country in the 1930s for Malco. And the Park Hill Community Building was demolished in 2003 to make way for the current shopping center on that site. Brueggemann, Swaim, and Allen also designed the Rialto Theater in downtown North Little Rock, which was built in 1930 and demoed in the early 70s to make way for the Twin City Bank Building, which is now the U.S. Bank Building in the 200 block of Main Street. Interestingly, Malco Theaters, Inc. was owned by Park Hill residents Mose S. McCord and Max J. Perniske, and the third partner lived in Memphis. And the Brueggemann firm designed both of their homes in the 1930s. I already mentioned the McCord house, which looks like the Park Hill Fire Station, but the house next door on this side is the Perniske house. They designed that one. Guy Swaim, a member of the Brueggemann firm, lived on A Street in Park Hill as well. Residential development in Park Hill increased during the 1940s First, because there was an influx of men being stationed at Camp Robinson for training during World War II, and then after the war when all the soldiers came home. North Little Rock annexed Park Hill in 1946. Goshen Avenue, the street that we're on. Goshen Avenue was named for the Goshen family, who retained ownership of their land between Park Hill and Lakewood, and they grew produce in the area just to the northwest of Snake Hill. Does everybody in here know where Snake Hill is? Okay, or so, yeah, good. The Goshens had what we call a truck garden, and they would set up and sell vegetables all around the neighborhood. And this property has since been developed with newer homes. In 1928 and 29, the Justin Matthews Company built the International Style House at 406 Goshen, Charlie Baxter's house, if you're familiar with that, down the street, to serve as their model home in a new section of Park Hill. The company's modernistic home was designed to bring people out here to Park Hill, but the Depression slowed development in this section. A comparison of the 1939 and 1950 Sanborn fire insurance maps indicates the southeastern end of Goshen Avenue, where we are now, between Delmar and A Street, was relatively undeveloped until the 1940s. Now about this house. In 1949, contractor Barney Elias built this house for himself and his family. Although it has not been confirmed, I'm almost certain that the house was designed by the firm of Brueggemann, Swaim, and Allen. Barney Levine Elias was born on October 18, 1921, at Okolona, Mississippi, to Jewish parents Edward and Ruth Elias. Barney always wanted to attend law school. In fact, he attended Louisiana State University in 1939 and 1940, but had to come home because his family couldn't afford to put both sons through college at the same time during the Depression. His older brother Charlie was able to finish school. The Elias family moved to Little Rock when Barney was 18 years old, so about 39, and they lived in the 2400 block of Broadway in Little Rock, there where Sim's Barbecue is. Barney's uncle owned a liquor distributorship in Little Rock, and Barney drove trucks for him. Barney was drafted during World War II, but only served a short time because he had asthma. In the 1940s, Elias started the Tri-State Construction Company, along with his father Edward and brother Charles. Barney was in charge and did all of the bidding. Edward was the bookkeeper, and Charlie was the construction superintendent. In 1948, when Barney Elias was just 27 years old, his company was awarded the contract to build the Arkansas Governor's Mansion. That's huge. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. 1948. The Governor's Mansion was built between 48 and 50, and he was 27. So designed by the firm of Genocchio and Cromwell, the Arkansas Governor's Mansion was built from 48 to 50 on the site of the old Arkansas School for the Blind. After looking at the architect's plans, Elias knew that the state appropriation of $100,000 for the construction of the mansion wasn't nearly enough to build it. So he submitted the lowest bid, and his bid was $94,235, and he did that, very clever, by omitting things like doors, light fixtures, bathroom fixtures, tile work, heating, and then the rear terrace on the mansion. And these items were identified as alternatives that would be added later whenever more money was available. So obviously, nobody wanted to live in the mansion without things like lights or toilets, so additional appropriations were made to cover those items. A particular note was Elias's construction of the concrete circular stairway in the Governor's Mansion. The staircase is cantilevered from the wall without any other support. When asked how he built it, Elias said, quote, "I just did a lot of measuring." The stairs were built from the basement up, and each tread was set 4 inches into the wall. In addition, Elias used steel joists instead of wood throughout the mansion and poured concrete floors in the mansion as well. The exterior mansion walls were brick with a cavity in between the 2 rows of brick for insulation and moisture protection, and Barney would use some of those same construction techniques on his own house. In addition to the Governor's Mansion, the Tri-State Construction Company built post offices, the North Little Rock High School Athletic Building, Lakewood Elementary, several buildings of the Little Rock Air Force Base in Jacksonville, and buildings of the Arkansas School for the Blind, among many others. They built commercial, industrial, residential, institutional, all kinds of buildings, as well as public water and sewer facilities. Barney built this home in 1949 at a cost of $16,000, which is equivalent to about $160,000 today. Doesn't sound like, sounds about regular, I guess, but far above what other people were paying at that time to build their homes, I can assure you. So the building permit book, that was way more than anybody else was spending. The house is situated on 2.5 lots. Elias used poured concrete for the foundation, and the exterior walls are solid brick with a cavity in between the 2 rows of brick like he did on the governor's mansion. Barney Elias and his first wife, Frances Daphne Knight Elias, had 3 children, Edward Knight Elias, Eve Elias Green, and Barney O'Neill, who went by Neil Elias. In January 1954, Daphne was killed in a car accident after her car struck a utility pole and the downed wires electrocuted her. In 1957, Barney Elias married Carolyn Parrish, who's here with us today, and they had 2 daughters, Kimberly Ann Elias, who's also here, and Kate Elias Schaefer. The Elias family moved to Jacksonville, Illinois in 1969, and Barney continued in the construction business. Barney was very active in the community. He participated in civic clubs, political campaigns, and he even helped to start the local Crime Stoppers program. Elias passionately advocated for the construction of Corridor 67, a highway from the Illinois-Iowa Quad Cities down to St. Louis, which is still under construction today. Barney and Carolyn Elias bought a vacation home on Lake Hamilton in Hot Springs in 1978, and they retired there in 1991. While living in Hot Springs, Barney became a member of the First United Methodist Church, and he died on June 5th, 2011 at the age of 89. Now, I know we're not outside, but you guys, you know what the front of the house looks like, unless you want to go out and look at it. The Elias house was obviously influenced by the modern movement. Carolyn Elias described the house as, quote, avant-garde, forward, modern, and different. And she said, quote, people either liked it or they hated it. The home was designed using a blend of the Art Moderne and international styles of architecture. About Art Moderne. After 1930, streamlined industrial designs for ships, airplanes, and automobiles influenced building design. Art Moderne style buildings typically featured smooth wall surfaces, curved corners, and a horizontal emphasis, giving the feeling that air streams could move smoothly over them. Although the Elias house does not have the curved corners, it displays other characteristics of the Art Moderne style, like its smooth wall surface, bands of rusticated brick on the front facade, and then the porthole window in the front door. And the front door originally had, that's not the original front door, it originally had 3 little portholes that were staggered down. And a little bit of international style too. Between World War I and World War II, European architects were designing modern buildings with new materials and new building technologies, namely a metal structural framework and the use of concrete. They wanted to create an architectural style that would transcend national boundaries and specifically chose white stucco as that unifying exterior material. Their designs came to be known as the International Style after 1932, when New York's Museum of Modern Art hosted the influential Modern Architecture International Exhibition. Although the Elias house was not built using a metal structural framework, it has solid brick walls. It features a smooth white facade and has large sections of blank windowless walls, as you saw. This is one of them right here, and a lack of exterior ornamentation. The interesting thing is, Barney didn't care what this house looked like. According to Carolyn, he really did. He hired a good architect. He tried to keep the cost down because he was building it himself. He was the contractor, and then he built it to last. He built it really sturdy. The home's design is attributed to the Little Rock firm of Brueggemann, Swaim & Allen, which I talked about earlier, and I have a couple reasons why I think so. Barney Elias, we got people outside. Barney Elias worked with that firm quite a bit. He would build lots of their designs. The firm designed the Perniske house next door. Guy Swaim